All right, going live in three, two, one. Oh, this is the Working Title Experience, episode number 10. And for tonight's episode, I have a special guest. I'll let her describe what she does when I bring her on board, but her name is Hannah Berge. Hannah, how are you doing today?
Hey guys, what's up?
Did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yeah, it's Hannah Berg. Simple as that.
No, Berge. Okay, cool. So, Hannah, why don't you tell us what you do?
All right. Well, I do a lot of things. I am a actress and I'm also a model, and now I just got into the broadcasting field. So, person of all trades, I guess you can say.
So excuse me. Sorry, I have a little bit of frog in my throat there. So as far as what you do, I mean, what is how do your modeling? That's what you like to do the most, right? Or
Right.
fashion
That's
modeling.
definitely my favorite for sure.
So how did you tell our guests, I get our viewers, how did you start to get into that field?
All right. Well, it actually came on as a pretty funny story, actually. So I was about 13 years old and I really, really wanted to be an actress. And so my mom took me to a talent agency in Chicago, and I went in just wanting to be a professional actor. And when I walked in there, the lady took one look at me, this tall, skinny blonde girl, and was like, "You are in the wrong department. You need to go upstairs." And me and my mom like looked at each other and we're like, "What? Like, what are you talking about?" So she brings us upstairs, and lo and behold, it was the modeling agency. And yeah, I had a meeting with them right there on the spot, and they signed me. And it was probably like the craziest day of my life because I went in wanting to be an actress and I came out as a signed model. And yeah, my life pretty much changed right after that. So I started going on a bunch of test shoots and just building my book, building my portfolio. And then I was working a lot in Chicago with this market and doing a lot of things like Kohl's, Sears, Target, J.C. Penney's, like a bunch of things like that. Also just walking in runway shows and things like that. So my life definitely took a turn for the better.
So
So
you so
kind of
you're the person that we would see when we go to the catalog to see if we need a new pair of clothes.
exactly. I was your girl.
Did you have to did you have to pose for anything like the anything that was the kind of I would use the right word here, uh that was kind of like not something you would show your mother.
No, thankfully, I had a huge talk with my agents, when I was 13, and I still do it all the way up till this day, that's something I never wanna do. I'm a model showing off clothes. Like,
Oh,
that's what I do is I show off clothes and nothing else. So, yeah, I mean, definitely I've had times where photographers have wanted to get me to do that kind of stuff, and I just hold my ground and say, "No, that's not what I'm here for."
cool. So where are you located at right now?
So I'm in Chicago. So,
Chicago.
yeah.
So why Chicago?
That's where I was born and raised. So, my parents are from the South Side, and this is where I've been my whole life. So it's pretty nice because I'm like smack dab in the middle of the country. So it's like a 1 hour flight to New York, 4 hours to LA. It's pretty nice being in the middle.
And as far as work, can you find work? I assume you can in Chicago. There's a lot of work to be found there.
Right. Like, Chicago's considered like the third biggest market in the world. So there's definitely a lot here for modeling, acting, even broadcasting. So yeah, definitely got a lot here, which is really nice.
Now you say you have gotten into acting. Originally, you wanted to get into acting, but you got into modeling. But now you are into acting. Is that right?
Right. I've kind of been doing everything like hand in hand as I've been growing up. So I've taken lots and lots of courses at the Second City in Chicago. I've taken some courses out in LA, just trying to better my skills. And I've done voiceover work, commercials, all that good stuff. So acting is definitely like my main goal. I would love to be an actress one day, but modeling goes right with it. So I love it so much. So it's really fun.
The did you so when you were younger, did you was there any aspirations that you had when you were younger that you're trying to actually fulfilling right now?
Well, it's kind of weird. Like when I was younger, I was a performer. So I started with dance when I was like 2. And so I kind of just grew up being on stage. So I always had that in me of like, I want to be a performer of some sort. when I'm older, whether that's in movies, being an actress, whether that's being a model or being someone on the radio or a TV host. Like I always knew I kind of wanted to be in this entertainment industry.
Gotcha. So what kind of what other things did you do that led you? I mean, it's the got you into modeling, but did you do anything else that led up to that? I mean, obviously you wanted to be an actor, an actress. Was there anything else that you did as far as like dancing? You said you did dancing. What kind of dancing did you do? Was it ballet?
You know, I actually did every single style. So I did tap, jazz, ballet, hip hop, but overall, my favorite is hip hop. I still do it to this day. I'll take classes, just bettering my skills and stuff. It's so fun. It's just something I really, really enjoy.
No, are there any is it just for fun or do you do it professionally like for like performances or
Mainly for fun, but when I was younger, I was a competitive dancer, so I would compete with my team, solos, duets, trios, all that good stuff. So I definitely have a good competitive bug in me, if you want to say that.
now as far as your broadcasting, can you describe what I mean you said you're doing some voice work and everything. Is that related to the broadcasting that you're doing?
No, you know, I actually did that when I was younger. Just with acting growing up, I did voiceovers for commercials and stuff. But yeah, when I did my very first voiceover, that's when it all kind of like clicked in my head of like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Like this is it. And so as I was growing up, I was doing a lot of acting, modeling, and that kind of just got me sidetracked from what I really, really wanted to do, which is broadcasting. So, you know, while I was traveling with modeling now and COVID hit, it kind of forced everyone to stay home. And being at home, it gave me a lot of time to think about what do I actually want to do with my life now, you know? And I'm like, you know what? I think I want to go to school for broadcasting. So that's what I did. So in quarantine, I was in college. I went to the Illinois Media School and got my degree in radio and TV broadcasting. So yeah, and then it's brought me to here.
So that's interesting. So as far as the classes, were these like online classes, like Zoom classes, or did you how did that work with your school?
Yeah, it was kind of a little bit of both. It was online for a really long time, which was really hard because my school is a trade school. So it's meant to be hands-on, getting in there every day and working on your craft. But with COVID and stuff, we were forced to stay home. But then it became hybrid, which was amazing because then we were actually able to get in there and put our hands on the cameras and really learn. And that's when everything was just kind of clicking because it was like, okay, you saw it on Zoom and now you do it in person and it's like a completely different world.
Gotcha. So could you tell us what kind of commercials we could hear your voice or have heard your voice in?
Yeah, so it was a bunch of stuff like back when I was younger, like none of my stuff, like I haven't done anything since probably 2013 was probably the last time I did something, but it was just for local things like in Chicago. So yeah, I bet all those aren't running anymore, unfortunately.
So can you give us an example though of what you were doing?
Yeah, I did a lot for I did a lot for a company called Drama Queens, and it was kind of like a dress up playhouse for girls' birthday parties. So I was just kind of on there being like, you know, it's every girl's dream to be a pretty princess and a rock star and a supermodel, you know, and I was talking about things like that. And it was really fun because it was everything I would love to do at that age. I was basically just talking about it for a voiceover.
Gotcha. So now, as far as your modeling goes, how's that been going for you? Is that really been going pretty well?
Yeah, I mean, it's been going great. I was working in Chicago all the way up until I was about 17, and I decided to graduate school early so that I could go travel with modeling. And when I graduated early, the first place I went to was New Zealand. So that was kind of crazy, flying 17 hours in an airplane. Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, I don't know if I could ever do that again, but it was definitely worth it. It was beautiful. After there, I went to LA. I ended up staying there for like 9 months. Then I flew to Europe. I was in Milan, London, Paris, Greece, Spain. I flew all over the place and was modeling with that. And then it was almost like a ton of bricks when COVID hit and literally made me have to get on a red eye and come home because I was in Greece. And that's when President Trump was putting in the travel ban of people not being able to get in and out of the country. So I literally had to get on a red eye from Greece to London and then London to Chicago. And I got in the day before that ban was put into place.
Oh, wow.
So
Close. Wow.
cutting it close. So, but yeah, I got home safe and that's all that counts.
So, I mean, can you do any kind of modeling from your home? I mean, I don't know how that would work. I mean, you could do, is there anything that can be done with that, with being stuck at home?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of models doing like at home shoots and trying to shoot things like from their perspective and stuff, which has been like pretty cool to watch. But it's mainly all the very well known models like Kendall Jenner and Gigi Hadid and Bella Hadid and all of them. So they're basically waiting for models to be actually come back into the studio to do more professional things, which is just starting to happen now, which is great.
No, could you go back for a second because I don't know any of those names. So the if you could maybe are those people well known in the industry? You have to pardon my ignorance. What I don't know the modeling industry that well. So
Right. So, Gigi and Bella Hadid are probably two of the most well-known models in the world. Their mom is Yolanda Hadid, and she's also a very famous supermodel back in the 90s. Gigi just recently had a baby with Zayn Malik from One Direction. So that was very exciting for her. And then Kendall Jenner is actually sisters to Kim Kardashian. So she's in that family. And so she's very famous because of that as well.
okay, gotcha. Now, as far as what you're doing now, I mean, what are your plans now? I don't know what's going on in the Chicago area. I think are they still under a lockdown? I'm not sure.
Our lockdown is actually getting a lot better. Like, you can go and eat in restaurants. They have up to like 40 or 50% capacity now. So that's been pretty nice. I think like movie theaters and all that kind of stuff is opening up as well. So we definitely have a lot more stuff opening up, which is really, really exciting. And then for modeling, that industry is just starting to pick up a lot now too, because it's really hard to get a lot of girls have been having to get like those rapid COVID tests on set to make sure that they're okay before they go and shoot, which is kind of scary. I mean, you don't really want to be doing that every day. So I'm glad that they're kind of getting rid of that now.
So as far as you say female models, I assume you have to work with, you have male models as well?
Right, right. Yeah, just depending on what the client wants. I could be with, a guy and shoot a campaign with that, or it could be me and a couple girls. But all the male models I met have actually been pretty cool. Some of them, have big heads and stuff like that, but you just got to weed out the bad ones, and there's a lot of good ones in there.
Now I got a question. You do the runway modeling, right? Okay.
Right.
Whenever I see someone on runway, they always look like like they're bored or they have no emotion whatsoever. I mean, are they almost sometimes looks like they're angry to be there. Is that is there a reason why their facial expressions always look like that?
Right, like that is kind of the typical, model look of that straight face, kind of death stare like into the camera. And they kind of almost describe it as like, Tyra Banks, who's a very famous supermodel, describes it as like a smize, like you're smiling with your eyes. So they kind of have that as the perspective as you're walking down the runway, something very intense and straight face. So you're not really taking too much away from the clothing. Because if everyone was kind of like smiling and walking down, you might be looking at the model a little bit more than the clothing.
Ah, okay. Oh, that makes sense. Now, as far as how many have you done that a lot? Is that a regular thing for you?
Yes, I love runway modeling. It's like literally you get to unleash like that inner diva and it feels so good.
No, this is kind of a weird question, but have you ever? I mean, I assume you have to wear heels when you're walking on there. Do you have to wear like weird clothing that you don't really like weird shoes and weird outfits that you're like, oh, I would never wear this in real life?
Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how many times that's happened to me. It's just like either wearing just like a really weird headpiece that has like a bird in it, and you're like, all right, I have to make this look cool. Or, being on set and wearing something that doesn't really fit right or something that's weird. Like that's definitely maybe a problem that all models will talk about is like wearing something that you hate, but you have to make it look like you love it, like 120% that you would wear this tomorrow, you know? But as far as shoes wise, I definitely have worn very, very high heels where, you know, you're kind of fearful that you're going to fall. But something that I always just keep in mind is like you have to trust your feet. And I know that sounds really weird, but it's the truth. Like if you just put faith in your feet that you're not going to fall, you won't fall. And your body just kind of does it. It's
That's
really
that's
weird.
that's my next question. If you had ever actually fallen over, so uh,
No, I haven't, like, knock on wood, but I haven't.
so as far as the outfits, is this like getting comparable to like Lady Gaga and her outlandish outfits that she wears sometimes?
You know, it can get to that extreme, or it could just be like simple things of like a really weird pattern, or maybe something that just is like lopsided and it doesn't really look right. Like it can be little things like that, or it can be all the way up to like Lady Gaga, very extravagant that you're like, all right, I look like a marshmallow in this. Like it can be things like that.
No, as far as the outfits, I assume you don't get to keep them though, right? Or do they let you ever, or do they let you wear them out in public at all?
Kind of depends. Like, if they want you to go like do press in something, then they'll have you walk outside in your outfit and kind of get that sneak peek with all the photographers and stuff. Or if you're doing a campaign, they'll have you wear the same outfit in the campaign in the show. Like it'll kind of be vice versa. As far as like keeping the clothes, that kind of depends. Like there's been some jobs where they have let me keep the clothes and that's been awesome.
Oh,
And
wow.
other times they just take it back. So it kind of just depends on the client that you're working with and what you're doing.
Interesting. Do you have any favorite outfits that you have right I mean, have you kept them all, and do you have any favorite outfits?
I definitely kept everything like when they were like, "Hey, you can keep this if you want." I'm like, "Heck yeah." So, I gotta say my favorite thing that I kept are these like earrings that they're really big, but they're like diamondy and like I don't know, they're really cool. I'd have to wear them for like a show or something to show you guys, but that's probably my favorite thing is because I would never pick out something like that, but for a designer to give it to you, it's really cool.
Do you ever wear any of the outfits, like, out when you go out with, like, friends or family and or just out on the town, or do you, are the do they stay in storage?
Yeah, I try to wear like the stuff as much as I can because it does like hold kind of a special place to you, being like, oh my God, you know, this designer gave me that or this photographer gave me that from the shoot. So I definitely had a pair of these like black flowy pants that I used to wear all the time. And then I got like a jacket from one of my shoots. It was like a jean jacket. I wear that all the time as well. So definitely, if I get something that I really like, I try to use it as much as possible.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Do any of the people that give you this clothing, do they come back and say, "Hey, I saw you wearing that. That's pretty cool." And do they? Is there any response to that?
Yeah, like I've actually had like a photographer like reach out to me and be like, "Oh my gosh, you still have that jacket I gave you. That's crazy." And if we shot like 2 years ago or something, he'd be like, "Oh my god, that's so cool that you still have that." And I'm like, "Of course I still have it."
So as far as modeling goes, what are some of the best things that have ever happened to you?
Oh my gosh. Um, there's a lot of really, really high moments in modeling. Like one of them was when I was in Milan just last year. I shot a campaign in LA and they told me that, oh, it's gonna be for this Milan store, yada yada yada. And I was like, oh, that kind of sucks. I'm never gonna see it. But opportunity came my way that I was able to go to Milan for work. And when I was there, me and my friend were just exploring the town and we turned this corner and I looked up and I saw myself on a billboard.
Oh, that's funny.
And
That must be wild.
oh my gosh, I was speechless. I was literally just like looking up at it with like my mouth open. And then my friend's like, Hannah, what are you looking at? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm on a billboard. And I like pointed to it and she's like, no way. And we started like freaking out. It was the coolest thing. So of course I ran up to it and took a bunch of pictures with it and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I was wondering if you did that. If the billboard was low enough to the ground that you could actually get yourself into the shot.
Yeah, so we took so many pictures by it and stuff, and it was like I was on cloud nine. Like it was the best moment of my life was seeing that and being there. Undescribable. Like I'm speechless even now talking about it.
That's really awesome. So, did anyone pass by and look up and see you, and then look up and see the picture and say, "Hey, that's you"?
Yeah, I actually had a couple like walk past me and stuff, and I was standing by and I was taking pictures with it, and they're like, "Oh my god, like you're the model," you know? And of course they're like they had broken English because they're talking to me like, from Italy. So I'm like, "Yeah, that's me," you know? And they were like, "Oh my god."
Did
So
they,
that was really cool too.
did they ask for your autograph?
No, they didn't.
That's kind of funny. I had an experience that's kind of similar in a way. I imported a couple of cars from Australia, and they look really unique because they're very rare. And I actually had people come up to me and actually ask for my autograph because they liked the cars so much they wanted my signature, my autograph. I said, sure, why not? So,
What? Oh my god. So are these like real cars that you can drive, or are they like little toy cars?
no, no, they're full size cars. It took a while to get them over from. They had to be shipped over in large containers and everything. So
What? Okay, okay, wait. Now you gotta tell me, like, what cars are they? Like, what kind of car?
sure, yeah. I can bring up some pictures here. But have you ever seen the Mad Max movies? That's the best way to bring them on.
It sounds familiar, those movies, but I don't think I've ever seen them.
With Mel Gibson. And there was a recent one within the past 5 years. If you haven't seen them, the reason I'm bringing that up is because he drives in the movies. He drives. I'm trying to bring them up as we're talking.
Oh,
Um, he,
gotcha.
he drives the exact same model car that I brought over, but it was modified for the movie. So that's why I first found
No.
out about it. So
No way! That is so cool.
and then you were in New Zealand, so they actually had them in New Zealand as well. So they were sold in Australia, New Zealand, and the United Kingdom. I think maybe South Africa as well. I know there were some in South Africa. So anywhere they had a country where their people drove on the left instead of the right, that's where they sold these cars. Um,
Oh
the
my god.
Have you did you while I'm bringing this up, did you have any experience driving while you're in New Zealand or any other countries like that where you were driving on the other side?
I went to those countries where they do drive on the other side, and it was the most confusing thing in the world because I totally forgot that they did that. And when I got off the plane in New Zealand, and after 17 hours on a plane, you're kind of like groggy and out of it. So I just get into the car and they start driving, and I kind of started freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, he's on the wrong side. Do I tell him? Like, what do I do? Like, kind of had like a little panic attack freaking out because he's driving on the other side of the road. But then it kind of clicked in them like, oh wait, yeah, they do that here.
I've never had a chance to drive in another country, uh, but having driven a car that's on that's a right-hand drive, it is kind of fun. It really freaks people out, especially if they're a passenger in the car, because they're used to being in the driver's seat when they're sitting on the left, and so there's no steering wheel, and people always freak out whenever I take them for a ride. Um,
Right. Oh my God. So can you drive those? You can drive those here, right?
Yes, yes, it's completely legal in this country. Certain countries, like Australia, which is it's kind of ironic, I guess. If you bring a car to Australia from the United States, that if it's less than 35 years old, you actually have to convert it to be a left or a right-hand drive car. So
Oh.
the reason there's an age stipulation is because most people, when they get like an older car, it's for collector purposes. So, but
Gotcha.
I'm bringing it up. Just 1 second here. It's just taking a little bit longer than I thought. Let's see.
Oh, I'm excited to see it. Oh my gosh.
This is to give you the car is a Ford a Ford Falcon XB GT Coupe. And when they
Oh.
made them, there were only 949 of this particular model made. So they're kind of rare. Okay. Got it right now. Here we go. It took me, I finally got it up here. I'm going to bring up the screen. Might take a second. Oh, there we go. There we go. That's it right there.
Oh, oh my gosh.
That's my red one because I brought two over. I don't have any pictures of the interior, unfortunately, so you can't see where the steering wheel is. But
No, that's okay. Oh my God. I love that car. I would drive that.
they're fun too. They're
Oh my
fast.
gosh.
At the time it was made it was the fastest one that they made. So out of all the ones that they made, it was the most sporty model. I have one other. These are the other pictures of here are not all mine. These are other people's. Hold on a second. I've got one more. I think it's right here. I'll just take it. It's time coming up here. Okay. Yeah, here we go.
Oh
There's my
my
other one right there.
god.
That's it right there. This
Oh.
black. They call it onyx black. That's why it's a special kind of black. There are only like 33 ever made in that color. So
Oh my gosh. So is this like a hobby of yours? Like, do you like collecting cars like this? Or was this just kind of like, I saw this car, I wanted it, let's go?
oh yes, I've been working on as a hobby mostly on cars ever since I've been a teenager. So as I got older, I said I saw these cars at a car show and I wanted to get one, and I ended up contacting a couple of people to help me get them imported. And in the process, they found two of them for me, and the prices were relatively cheap. When I say that, I paid like 18,000 for one and 19,000 for the other,
Mhm.
but at the value of the cars has gone up to like I think 100,000 each now because they're so rare. So
Oh,
they're because they're collector. They're I was surprised at the time I was surprised they were so cheap, relatively speaking. Because cars in the United States are the same kind of car. We're already going for well over 70, 80, $100,000. And I was like, wow, they only want like 15, $16,000 for these things. Yeah, let me see if I can get a couple of them. I originally wanted one, but then when two came along, I said, yeah, okay, I'll try for two. So
yeah, you're like, why not? I'll just take both.
but yeah, I think I'm the only person that has actually two of these in the country right now. There's probably about maybe a 30 or so, maybe a couple dozen or so in the country right now. So, but
Oh my god, that is so neat.
so if you ever see the movie Mad Max with Mel Gibson, he drives a black version of this car, but it's been modified so the headlights look a lot different. But that's basically the car he was driving in that movie. So
Oh, that is so sick. I have to watch that movie now. Like, I'm putting it on the list. Like, I just gotta watch that movie now, just for the car.
okay. Now, as far as your to change this, go back a little bit. As far as your broadcasting is go, what are you doing in broadcasting? I'm kind of curious with that.
So I just got into it. I just graduated school in January. And what I'd love to do with it is just be either an on-air host like what I'm doing right now, or do something with TV and be like a TV host for maybe like E News or TMZ, like some sort of entertainment news.
Gotcha. Like, would you do celebrity stuff, celebrity gossip stuff?
Oh yeah, or be like that person on the red carpet, like interviewing people. Yeah, I can see myself doing that for sure.
Gotcha. So, what else would you consider to be like doing like a DJ, like a radio DJ, or was that something that you would, or would you get into, say, I know you said celebrity gossip. Would you do like regular news? Would that be something you'd be interested in?
I think I'm definitely open to try everything. I don't really feel like closed-minded where I'm like, "Oh, I just want to do this." Like, I'm very much open to anything. So, yeah,
You,
I'd give it a shot.
yeah, definitely have a very nice personality. I think definitely you'll work well whatever happens. The and you have a warm presence. I think people will like that. And we're getting a lot of people in the comments that are leaving little hearts and everything saying they like you. So
Oh, thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
now, is there any, as far as anything? I mean, I don't want to bring up any negative. Have you ever had any bad experiences with anything that you've been doing in any part of your career?
Hmm. Um, I would say probably like if you want to say like maybe the worst thing about modeling is that um sometimes they treat you like a robot. Like they don't really treat you like a human. So in some cases like they'll send you into something and not really think like, "Oh, is she going to be okay if she does this?" or, "How is she going to feel if we put her into this?" or they'll just kind of be like, "No, no, no, no. Get in there. You got it." You know? So that's kind of something that is a little hard in that industry is that they don't really view you as a human and that you have feelings and you have needs. Like the whole crew can go the whole day with breaks and all that kind of good stuff, but then the model has to work the whole time and doesn't get a break.
Oh,
So things like that are kind of hard.
so how about like as far as like the clothing? I mean, you're under hot lights. Does it get like? Do you have to? Does the clothing get like? I mean, is there any clothing that's been like not bodily friendly to you? Like it's like it falls apart or anything due to the heat, or have you ever had any clothing issues?
Yes, so those lights get very, very, very hot. So when you're under them for a while, it can definitely like make you sweat. It can make the clothing like tighten up on you. So if something's already pretty tight and then under those lights, it kind of like shrinks a little bit. I've
Goodness.
definitely had times where, you know, it was full of sequins and I took the dress off and it would scratch my arm or scratch my body or something like that. I've had times like that. There were times where we'd put on something and it would just rip down the whole seam and you're like, whoa, like how did that happen? And they're like, that was the final look. What do we do? And everyone's panicking, but then of course you'll whip out the extra pair and you're good.
Gotcha.
So yeah, definitely like really crazy things like that have happened for sure.
As far as doing modeling, I know you're into broadcasting too. Are you planning on staying in modeling? How's that going to work for you?
You know, I would love to definitely do all my passions, like acting, modeling, and broadcasting all at the same time. I mean, you just gotta like make time for it and stuff. So I would love to do everything to the best of my ability for however long I can, you know? So, and if one drops off, well, you know, then I got everything else too. So, you know, just trying to do everything that you love. You know, you got one life, so you gotta live it to the fullest.
Good philosophy. Now, as far as doing acting, have you ever considered doing dancing on film? Because you said you did dancing. Would
Right.
um, the reason I ask is because the former co-host of my show, Ann Marson, was a professional dancer, and the reason I met her was because she was in a movie called Girl Walk All Day, and she was in a it was she didn't have any there was no speaking in the movie. She just danced for about an hour and almost an hour and a half, and it was kind of interesting. It was a very interesting movie, if you could call it a movie, I guess, because there wasn't really much of a plot. But would you ever consider doing something like that?
Yeah, like that would be really cool. Like I would definitely love to dance in anything. If it was like a music video, that would be awesome. If it was a documentary or anything like that, I would love to. I mean, dancing is not only just a hobby, it's also a passion. So I would love to do it whenever I can.
Gotcha. Now, you did say when we were talking before we started doing this that you wanted to talk about fashions, right? Uh,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so what did you? Now you want to talk about the upcoming spring fashions, is that right?
Yeah, so right now, like in the fashion industry, Fashion Week just ended, and that's kind of the big event that everybody looks forward to, and it happens 2 times a year. So it'll happen in February, March, and that's called, you know, the fall winter season, and then it will happen again in September, October, and that's called the spring summer season. So in fashion, like the fashion weeks are always one season ahead. So even though this just happened in March, you would think it would be like spring, summer, but really it's fall, winter because it's one season ahead.
Gotcha. Now, as far as the fashions, is there anything about the current fashions that you like, or would you like to discuss?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about maybe like the top shows and stuff and just kind of tell you some highlights and things like that, and maybe some people in the industry to look out for.
Sure. I mean, now as far as where these shows, if whether they are they in the United States, or I mean, give us a description, I guess, of where are these shows that you would maybe participate in or you've done in the past.
Right. So, Fashion Week is actually, if they say it's Fashion Week, but really it's a month long, but it's a week in a different city. So, the first week is always New York, starts off with a bang, New York Fashion Week. After New York, they'll go to London, then it'll be London Fashion Week. Then it will go to Milan, and you'll have Milan Fashion Week. And then you'll end it with Paris, and you'll have Paris Fashion Week. So, it takes up a month, but it's probably one of the funnest yet hardest things to do in the modeling, you know, world. So it's definitely something that I have not done yet, but I aspire to do it. So I'm hoping that, you know, maybe next season you'll see me walking in one of those shows.
It'd be cool. Now, is there anything as far as the actual clothing itself? I mean, is there anything that's new? I mean, we do have some pictures here that we could bring up as far as that we could show the viewers. Is there anything new that's coming up that maybe you'd like to discuss? That's I don't know that you like or dislike.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I could just kind of tell you guys about maybe like the top three shows, that happened and some little tidbits about them, maybe things that you wouldn't really know.
Okay. I can bring up some of these pictures that we have here. Would you like, let me see. I have the Vogue runway. Let me see if we can bring that up here. Give me 1 second here.
All right.
There we go. And here we go. So, um, all right. So this is, can you explain this, what this is right here?
Yeah, so this is the Christian Dior show. And basically, this was last season. So this happened back in September. So basically, with this, Maria, who is the creative designer for Dior, basically wanted to engulf the whole idea of quarantine. So she was thinking about loungewear and basically quoted that, the clothing has to reflect the time that we're living in right now. So that's why everything's very loungy, very flowy, kind of that quarantine vibe, if you want to say it. But she was also very inspired by the Mediterranean paisleys, is that kind of design that you'll see on there. Also with like Roman sandals. That was kind of her vibe as she was going into this. But I think she did an amazing job. Everything's beautiful, flowy, and Dior is known for their silhouettes on the girls, like making everything clean with the pretty lines. But Maria was actually saying that she had to kind of rethink like the Dior silhouette, making it with, pants and shirts and jackets, like kind of creating a new silhouette with Dior that she never really had to think about before until quarantine. So I thought that was pretty cool that she had to kind of reshape what Dior is known for. And I think she did a great job with it.
These are interesting. I do have a question though. I mean, do people actually wear these though? That's the one thing that I've noticed. I mean, how often do you see people wear these fashions?
It's very rare that I see it, but I think that people that are more wealthy and, love this kind of stuff, like there's pieces in here that I would buy for myself, but, it's pretty expensive buying Dior. So I think people with, that are very wealthy would love this kind of stuff for sure.
Now, is the woman that was, it looked like she was conducting. Is that what she's doing here at the very, um, right there? Can you see that? Is she like,
Right.
what is she? Is there actually, I don't know if there's audio on this actually. Oh, I guess there is. Okay. I'm going to bring that down in case there's copyright. Okay.
Yeah, so they actually had like a whole choir set up there to sing like as the models are walking. So that's what she's conducting. And that's not actually the creative director of Dior doing it. It's probably, the lady that conducts her little choir. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool too that she had that. But this was all like during quarantine. So this was when there was no audience and
Oh, really? Okay. Okay. I didn't realize that. Okay.
right.
I didn't even think of that. I guess. So yeah, it was just the runway was just for the cameras then.
Mhm.
Is how often, how large are the audiences? Are they when they are there though?
The audiences can be pretty big. I've seen shows that are very small that are only like 20 people in the audience, but it can go up to maybe 100 people plus. So, kind of just depending on the designer and how many people they really want there.
And as far as like, well, I'm sure you're very confident in what you do, but when you first started doing it, was it kind of nervous? Was it kind of nerve wracking for you? Was it? How did you feel?
Yeah, it's definitely nerve-wracking, but in the best way. It's almost like excited butterflies before you step out onto the runway. So it's almost like you're nervous in one end, but you're so overcome with excitement that it just doesn't even matter.
Oh, that's pretty good. And how about other people that are doing it with you? Have you seen any of them get like nervous to the point where they can't go out?
Right. So I've definitely seen that as well. Like for me, I'm very outgoing and I'm very bubbly, so this is kind of up my alley. So that's why I'm never really nervous when I go out on the runway. But I have seen a lot of girls who are maybe more shy or more reserved kind of almost back out because they don't want to do it and that they're really, really scared. But, all the models are really supportive backstage and we all just try to help as most and as best as we can.
that raises another question. Is there any kind of competitive atmosphere in this?
Oh, yes. Modeling is very competitive because when you go to a casting, which is basically like an audition, if you go in and, you're there with 500 other blondes, in the room, and you're kind of just like, all right, who are they going to pick? Which is going to be the best one? So modeling is very, very competitive. But in my eyes, I don't view it as competition because every client knows what they want. And so it's just basically if you fit their needs or not. And at this time, maybe I just don't fit their needs. So, but someone else will.
Oh, and do you consider yourself to be very competitive?
I am to a point though. Like I'm very competitive that I have this drive of I know what I want. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to try my hardest. But I don't try to put other people down to push myself up, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay. Now, what is this I just brought up? Could you tell? Is that Versace? Am I
This is Versace. So,
Versace? Okay.
yes, definitely one of the most powerful brands in the industry for sure. And
Okay.
so this show is actually the show that just happened probably like 3 days ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this show, Donatella Versace, who is, the main owner and everything of Versace, went all out on this collection. She first started off with Gigi Hadid, that you'll see right there, the first picture all the way to the left of the screen. That's Gigi Hadid, who just gave birth to her daughter Kai 6 months ago
Mm.
and had her return to the runway as a redhead. So this totally shocked the whole industry seeing her as a redhead. Normally she's blonde, like a darker blonde than me. But fans were loving it. They totally went crazy when they saw her on the runway. I think it suits her. I think it looks pretty good on her as well.
Now,
So yeah, she opened and closed the show. And Donatella just kind of had a monogram as her inspiration for this. So the models were walking through a monogram design, which is kind of like a maze.
oh,
And
is that what
that's
that
kind of
what?
like, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Is that is that what those panels are in the background? The maze?
Right, right. So it was basically like a huge maze the models were walking through, but nonetheless, she did an outstanding job. All the clothing pieces are very structured, very fitting. They look great on all the models. She also had men in her show as well. So you kind of see the men's outfits and the women's outfits, which is a very nice touch. I always love seeing that.
I
And yeah, she absolutely killed it.
I don't mean to sound rude, but I could not see myself wearing any of these men's clothing.
Come on, not even like that trench coat right there.
This one especially, this is a real turn off for me. Um, yeah, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it makes his. I mean, the shoes make it. It looks like he has like little spindly legs and big feet, almost like he has what do you call it, like toothpicks for legs. Um,
Hey, maybe it's just the camera angle.
but yeah,
No, but Donatella did great with it. So
the other thing is the makeup on the woman we brought up before. That was
mhm.
like, is that? It looks like it's like I don't know. Is the makeup also a factor as far as like what's being displayed, or is it just done for the to enhance what the fashion is about? Or how does that work?
Right, like the makeup like isn't necessarily being like, this is the makeup that's gonna be hot next season. It's just kind of whatever the designer and the makeup artist come up with, either to like enhance the outfits or, just do something kind of fun and crazy. So I think that's definitely what Versace was doing this time was like, hey, let's do something pretty crazy, do bold blue across the eyes. Why not? So
Okay.
it's kind of cool to see something a little different.
The now as far as the men's outfits, what how do you feel about like the clothing, the outfits they were wearing? Do you think they're okay?
I like them. I think that they, would have a purpose. Like maybe you wouldn't put all the accessories on with it, but maybe just the jacket would be pretty nice, if you're keeping it a little more simple.
I can see this is a guy, right?
Right.
Okay, I just want to be sure because like the I don't like the shininess of the jacket personally. but the rest
Mhm.
of the outfit's okay. I mean, if I wanted to dress up something, I might consider that, but not the jacket. I'd have to go with something that's less, more of a leather look might look better in my opinion.
Right, that's what I was thinking. Like maybe she just did like a leather jacket with that, or maybe just like, a black blazer. Maybe that would have looked like a little more, maybe a little more like realistic for people to wear in everyday life.
Now, as far as like, have you ever thought about actually designing any of the clothing?
I actually did have that thought. It definitely ran across my brain of like, what if I was a designer? I can do this, And but then I really, really thought it over and I was like, well, I don't know how to sew. I don't know how to do any of that. So that would be a lot to train myself in. So I was like, leave it to the professionals. I'll just model for them.
Well, do you actually need to know how to sew? I mean, an architect doesn't know how to build a building. So, I mean, they just know how to design the building. I mean, they know how the basics of how the building works, obviously, but they don't go out there and actually build it, is what I mean. They let the construction workers do that. So, I mean,
Right. I mean, I feel like I would have to know at least some little bit because I'd have to create my pieces to show people. So I feel like I would need to know a little bit of something.
I got
I
you.
mean, you could always hire people, so maybe not.
Now, let me bring up the third one we have here. Let's see. I'll let you pronounce this one because I don't want to mispronounce it as well.
This one's actually really easy to say. It's just Mew Mew.
Oh, okay. Okay. Mew Mew.
Yeah. So, fun fact about Mew Mew, it's actually like Prada's younger sister. So, the brand Prada has a like kind of an older feel to it, whereas Mew Mew's like the little younger sister of it. So, it's kind of the younger feel that might attract to more people like in their late teens to, 30s. So, kind of think of it as like Victoria's Secret in pink is kind of like Prada and Mew Mew.
Gotcha. Now, these are, well, obviously these are outside. Were these done on a runway at one point?
So this show was actually crazy. This was just in this past fashion week as well. So Musia Prada, who is the CEO owner of Miu Miu and Prada and main designer, she took all the models to the Italian Alps for this runway show. So the models are actually walking in the mountains, in the snow, outside, no runway whatsoever.
Hmm.
So very crazy, something that has never been done before in the fashion industry. But she was kind of combining like that post quarantine with like just getting back into the swing of things vibe. So you can see where it's like kind of, the big jackets with the little, loungy wear underneath. She had a lot of like furry boots and kind of mixed it all together with ski wear at the same time. So, kind of a crazy collection for sure, but I think it was just really cool and very, very unique. So, she definitely put her name on the map with this show for sure.
I'm just curious how deep the snow is. It doesn't look like the snow is that deep, but I can say, anyone who's walked in the snow knows if you have to be very careful while walking. Um, as far as slipping around, I'm just curious how many people actually slipped and fell when they were doing this. So.
Right? I mean, it looks like they're in flat boots for most of them, so I hope that none of the models fell. But oh man, if you did, whew, I pray
The
for you.
this outfit right here, I'm wondering how cold it was outside, especially at night, walking around without any jacket
Right.
on.
I know. So that's where she was kind of bringing in like the lingerie loungewear type of feel to it for sure. But I'm like, geez, give her a coat. She's probably freezing.
Now, would you consider doing something like this, going out in? I see. I don't know. How would you feel about doing that?
For Mew Mew, I would totally do it any day. The show, was amazing. It was unique. And I feel like it would just be like a really cool experience. Sometimes you just got to do things for the experience. So I would definitely do it.
And this is oh, is this more? Okay, let me see what you got. Oh, okay, this is more. This is Mew Mew, right? Yes, it is. So
Right.
what?
So this was just their past season. So the show that we just saw happened a few days ago, and this one happened back in September.
Oh, okay. So this is like fall fashion.
Right. So, funny thing about this was that it was all inspired by kids not being able to do things during quarantine. So, kind of just, they were combining that with the dress codes of life. So, she was talking about like going to events, business meetings, and kind of taking the whole thing up on dress codes and uniforms. And that was kind of her inspiration for this. But I think it's pretty cool. I mean, Miu Miu always has a fun, girly vibe to it, and I think that definitely comes out in this show for sure.
So no male models in this one. This is just strictly for the women.
Nope, yeah, it was all girls in this one. Miu Miu typically is always all girls. Sometimes they'll have some guys in there as well, but this one she did all girls on it. And also, fun fact is that the model that opened the show is Leela Moss, who is Kate Moss's daughter.
Oh,
And
okay.
Kate Moss is obviously a very well-known supermodel, and her daughter just made her debut in Miu Miu. So it was a very special show for her.
Now, honestly, how do you feel about these outfits? Do you like them personally, or how do you feel about them?
I really do like some of them. They're really, really fun, and I just feel like they'd be really cute if you matched certain things. So maybe you didn't have to have the whole outfit, but if you took maybe the shirt and the purse and matched it with some jeans, maybe it'd be a little bit more for, our typical everyday wear.
Gotcha. These okay, we just got to the end of that. So as far as there was the other ones. Was there anything in particular? Because I kind of skipped over the other second page. Let me see if I have this up already. Hold on. Jumping back to the Christian Dior. This was the second page. Oh, yeah. Well, I went on here. Was there anything extra? It looked like this was the exact same link almost, or the pictures look virtually identical. Maybe there's no. Was there any difference because there was a second link here? Oh, and I was wondering, is there anything special about going back to this? Is there anything special about this one?
I would say like the thing that was most important for this show was that this was the past season, so this didn't just happen a few days ago, but it was mainly the makeup. They decided they always do something very dark, but it's not in these pictures, but the other pictures they showed that
Mhm.
this season they wanted to do a dark eye that was really strong without being gothic, because when you do a dark eye on a girl, it could kind of turn to that gothic side if you're not careful with it. So basically, the makeup artist Peter Phillips was talking about he needed to make sure it was strong and bold without going into the gothic direction. So,
The woman in the middle kind of feels like almost like an Egyptian feel with the eyes,
mhm.
kind of
Yeah,
a little bit.
that was definitely what he was trying to achieve in that season for sure, was something that was dark, kind of like that like Egyptian vibe, just exactly what you were saying, because that's how she was inspired, was through like the Mediterranean paisleys and Roman sandals. So it definitely tied that together for sure by having that deep European eye to it.
Okay. Oh yeah, you can clearly see it there. It really stands out there.
It almost had like a cat finish to it. So
Now, as far as the other themes, were there any other themes in particular for this one that really stood out?
for this one, like I feel like it was just very, very classic Dior, especially with their makeup. Like you can see it in these girls right here. It was just very classic. Like she highlighted the silhouettes on the girls and everything. Like this was in quarantine as well. So there wasn't many people in the audience. And that's like really, really hard on like the models and stuff and the designers, because you really feed off of the energy from the crowd. And with no one there, it's kind of just like, it's just kind of like a rehearsal. But I think all the models definitely showed up with their A game. Like all of them look confident, and that's all you can ask for.
And as far as the number of models, how many people were there? Was how many on average? How many people models are there on any of these events?
It can vary. It very much depends on the designer and like how many pieces they made, how they view the show. So I've seen casts as little as like maybe 20 to 30, models in it, and then I've seen it all the way up into the hundreds where it could be 100 models in the show and every model just has one look. Because sometimes in the shows they'll have the models do two looks so that, you're condensing the amount of models that you have and the show will go quicker.
Gotcha. Now, I have not watched these on a regular basis. Whenever I have seen them, it's usually for only like maybe a minute at the most. And I've watched. I've the only thing I've looked to see is, do the models repeat? How often do they repeat? So how often do you have to go back and change and come back out, or do you just model the one outfit?
That also depends on like the designer. Like if they want you to do two looks, then you'll go and you'll change one time and then there you go, you got two looks. But I've seen models come back up to like three times. So have like three different outfits, which is pretty cool because then you get to go back out, three separate times.
So as far as anybody that's young who wants to get into this, what would you have any advice on how they should get started?
I would definitely say, like, if you want to do this, make sure you have thick skin. Like, this industry can be very, very hard. So, knowing that going into it, I think you'll be okay. For advice, I would say to just go and look up agencies that are in your town or city that you're in, and then look on their websites and apply online or go to an open call. So those are basically your two ways. And if they really like you and think that they could use you in the market that you're in, then they'll take you. But don't be discouraged if one agency doesn't take you, because trust me, the next one will. So,
Wait, you said hard skin? Is that what you said? Like you have to have like a, maybe you have to. I mean, are they ruthless to you? I mean, what is it? Any stories that you'd like to pass on that would let people know what to expect?
yeah, so when I say like having like thick skin or like tough skin or things like that, you're basically just, you're being judged on your looks. Every time you walk into a room, everyone's judging you just from the outside. So that can hurt people very hard because people have said comments to me of like, "Oh, she's ugly. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's that." To my face. And so I don't care.
Wow.
Like, I'm just like, all right, that's your opinion. And I walk out of there, go into my next casting, and I book the job. So it's something that takes practice, because you're going to hear very nasty things to your face, but also you'll hear a lot of good things. You'll walk into a room and someone will look you up and down and be like, "You are perfect. Like, you are what we want. Like, can we sign you for this job right now?" So, like, as much as there are bad things, there's so many more good things that happen in this industry. But, I'm just kind of there to give you the real side of it too. Maybe the things that people won't tell you.
And as far as like any kind of class, like training, are there schools for this?
No, so that's definitely the biggest like misconception about the fashion and modeling industry is that there's like a school for modeling. There's a school, and if people want you to pay to go to it, it's a scam. It's
Oh,
fake.
really? Oh,
So yeah, you should never, ever, ever have to pay to be in a modeling agency. The modeling agency is going to pay you for the jobs. So never, ever pay someone if you're
so
going into
as
this industry.
so as far as like when you do the runway work, I mean, you had to go through. I guess the training is not that is it intense, or is it?
Right. So once you sign with an agency, then they'll kind of take you under your wing and then they'll teach you. They'll teach you how to runway walk. They'll teach you different poses to do. They'll send you out on test shoots and stuff so that you can practice posing and get more comfortable in front of the camera. So your agency will definitely take you under their wing and teach you for sure.
Oh, okay. And as far as like do how long have you been doing this now? As, how long is this? Go
Let's
ahead.
see. It'll be 8 years this year. I've been modeling and acting and all that good stuff.
How many do you have any friends that you've met through this?
Oh, yeah, I've met plenty of friends, but the funny thing is that all my friends live in different parts of the world. So I have friends in the United States that are like, three of them are in Pennsylvania, one's in Oklahoma, one's in LA, one's in Florida. So that's kind of the hard thing is that you meet people from so many different parts of the world, but it's hard because they're never ever like in the same spot as you once you leave that spot, if that makes sense.
So meaning like you meet them once, do you ever work with them again? Is it, or is it just how does that work?
Right. So I've had friends that like I've met in London, but I haven't seen them again because I haven't gone to London since, you know? So that's definitely like the hard thing about the industry is that you'll meet a lot of great people, but maybe you won't ever see them again. But if you guys are really close friends, then no doubt you'll make time for each other and hopefully see each other again. It's just hard when you live in different countries and different states.
Yeah, I bet. The do you, so you have you ever gone together just to see them, or is it just strictly a work thing?
You know, everything has been mostly a work thing, but I have made like a bunch of friends in Chicago, so I try to get together with them as much as I can. But, you know, it's hard because in modeling, we're always traveling. We're always going to a different city, a different state, different country, you know, so everyone's kind of always on the move. But I definitely try to at least text them whenever I can and just try to keep the friendships going.
And how about the agents? Any of the companies that are doing this? I mean, do you have ones that are better than others? Do you feel like there's some that are like treat you with a better level of respect, or others that just like treat you like you said like a robot?
Right. So, in the world, there's agencies. So, agencies in pretty much every market. So, if you want to work in London, you would have to get an agency in London, and then they would take care of you once you got out there. So, um, you know, with that, like, of course, there's really good agencies and there's really bad agencies. You just kind of have to do your homework and know which ones are the ones you should go to and which ones you shouldn't.
Gotcha. Now, I guess I was the agency you're with. You've been it's just the one agency, so you don't really have to deal with any other companies. I guess is what you're saying. I mean, I guess you do in some ways, but the agency is what is your primary go to when you need to do something.
Right. So I have agencies in like basically every market that I work in. I'll have an agency there. So I'll have one in LA, New York, Chicago, and then London, Paris,
Oh,
Miami,
oh
Milan,
wow.
you
Okay.
know, everywhere. But basically, your agency is going to be the main contact between you and then the client.
Oh,
So I'll always just deal with the agency. Like I'll never ever deal with the client directly. Like I wouldn't be emailing Versace like, "Okay, am I working tomorrow?" You know, that would be mainly the agency's job for that.
gotcha. So as far as the clients, then, do you ever have to deal with any of them? Have you ever dealt with them directly in any way? Like when you're when I guess when you're doing some sort of fashion show or something, have any of them ever come to you and talk to you directly?
Yeah, like I've definitely had designers like come up to me and talk to me while we're at a show or while we're at a shoot and stuff. And that's really, really cool because you're kind of like talking to the person that started it all. So it's very, very crazy, but very cool when that happens. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's pretty cool.
Gotcha. Now, looking at some more of these pictures, these are extremely colorful pictures. In fact, this almost has like I would say more almost like maybe some of these are almost like Central America, maybe South American looks. Am I right on that?
Right. So this was Versace's, spring summer 2021 collection. So this happened back in September. So
Okay.
her inspiration for this, Donatella Versace, was the lost city of Atlantis. So
Oh,
that's why everyone has the wet hair. You see like everything's very like oceany, flowy. You see starfish on the ground, seashells, all that good stuff. But I thought
okay.
it was pretty cool because it's spring, summer, so the summer and then the wet vibe, and it's very beachy, so it definitely, made people wanna run to the beach after this show.
So, do you have any particular seasons that you like better? I mean, when you do this?
Hmm, that's like a toss-up because, spring, summer like this is always very colorful and very cute with the dresses and the skirts and, some of them have, like, bathing suits, like, that's so cool, like, I love summer, like, summer's my favorite season overall, but then fall, winter has the really cute jackets, the turtlenecks, like, very much like a classic look, and I don't know. It would be really, really hard to pick one. So I don't know how I can pick between those two.
The For me, when it comes to fashions, if I look at them, usually I tend to like lean more towards the fall and winter stuff.
Hmm.
That's personally because I prefer dark colors. The I usually I'm not one to wear light colors that often, so I usually wear when I usually wear like a black button down shirt and usually dark colored pants for myself, and nothing fashionable, but just and so when I look at something, I'm like, if it's dark, usually I tend to like it more. And obviously with the spring and summer, they tend to be more lighting colors, so I tend to this I go, not so much. I always like it when the fall comes around because I can see those fashions. I like those a little bit better.
Right, and everyone's different. Like, I know, like, some of my friends love the spring, summer because, they like just the t-shirt and the pants. It's very simple, you know? But then I have other friends that absolutely love, the fall, winter where it's all the coats and the layers and you're kind of like all bundled up and stuff. So, I think it's just, honestly, like your personal preference on what you like better.
Mhm. Now, as far as I'd like to jump back like into the broadcasting. Where do you all see yourself going somewhere with that? I mean, how would you? What would be your ultimate goal to be in broadcasting? Do you have something that you have in mind at this point?
You know, I I think I said this before, but I would absolutely love to be, an on-air host, whether that's like on the radio and if I'm just a DJ on the radio with my own, little talk show or whatever, that would be amazing. I would love that. But if it was also in TV and I was like a TV host or anything along those lines, I would love that as well. I definitely love being on camera and just, you know, being there with the audience. I think it's pretty cool.
Cool. Now, as far as like interacting, um, uh, would you like to take a live show on a regular basis where you're answering questions?
Oh my gosh, that would be so cool, like, to have, like, a live audience with you. I would totally love that.
The unfortunately, you gotta be careful sometimes, you gotta, look out for the trolls, but most of the time, the people are pretty receptive. As far as, like, any kind of and the radios and TV are kind of in the down going a little bit down right now. Internet is on the upswing right now. So, I would think that the internet would probably be a better choice at this point to try to promote yourself. Have you thought about how you would go around doing that?
I haven't really thought about it much. My school and stuff has always told me, like, "Hey, podcasting, that's really going on the up right now and stuff." And it definitely is something that would be pretty cool, but, it's a commitment. So if I do it, I gotta be 100% in. So
Gotcha.
I don't know. Still trying to feel it out and see where I wanna go, but, you know, I'm happy wherever it lands up.
All right. Well, I guess we can go ahead and wrap everything up. Did you have anything else you'd like to tell everyone?
No, not really. Just thank you for having me on the show, and I really enjoyed it, and, the audience was great, so I'm glad I was able to be here with you guys today.
Yeah, thank you for being on. I really appreciate it. It was really fun. I'm sure everyone's going to like it. And the show will be up, so anyone who wants to come back and watch it, you can see that. Also, the link to Hannah's Instagram page is in the description below, so you can click on that and see that. So,
Cool.
all right, cool. All right, thanks everyone, and we'll go ahead and we'll have another show very soon. And thanks for watching.
Alright, bye, guys.